we have, if it's below the federal government, if it's below the state government, if it's equal to the federal government, if it's equal to the state government, it's still lower than the Constitution. You understand? But a religious organization is above the Constitution. So just recognize that. Well, we're going to start here in the next second, as a matter of fact. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rich.
You're welcome. Many blessings, people. I say again, many blessings. I humbly desire to bestow upon each and every one of you many blessings. The individual who invited you on this line to attend the church service wishes for you many blessings. If we could, let's mute our phones so we don't hear the feedback from noise in the background. Please mute your phone by either pressing *6 or muting your own phone. I'd like to say welcome to the church service of the National Ministers Health Network Church. Face-to-face services are held every other Tuesday at various locations throughout Chicago. On this telephone service tonight, we're going to share some truths with you that you will identify as truths, even though you may find them hard to believe. Just listen to what it is I'm saying and then investigate this to see if what I'm saying is actually true. Now, I've stated to you many times, and I will continuously make this statement. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution says, in part, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That's the first part of the First Amendment of the Constitution. And where does it give power to? It gives power to religious organizations. I'll say it again, a little slower, with emphasis on various words. Congress, which is the only law-making body in the United States, shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So what can be exercised freely? A religion. Okay. What can be established at any time? A religion. What can have a law made respecting it? A religion cannot have a law made respecting it. So I really want us to understand this. You mean to tell me, Minister Partlow, that no government agency can make a law respecting your establishment of religion? None. None whatsoever. And are you telling me if I establish a religion, no law can be made respecting it? None. None at all. You mean to tell me no law could forbid my religious belief? None at all. Not in the United States. Why? Because it would be unconstitutional and therefore it would not be a law. This is one of the rights that we all have in America. But let me tell you this so you really recognize this. We all have religious rights in America, but if you come on this land from anywhere in the world, you have religious rights. You don't have to be no citizen of the United States. You just standing here on the land. You got these rights, and the government can't say nothing about your rights, even though you're a foreigner. Why? Because the government's hands are tied by the Constitution. Period. Point blank. End of story. So I really want you to think about this and recognize it, and I really want you to realize this. The government has to act by the rules that have been put in place. They have to act by those rules. So, and you all know this. Please mute your phone. Okay? You all know this because you watch television, you've seen where they arrest somebody and they advise them of their rights. And this was enacted because somebody pointed out that in the Constitution, it says you got the right to remain silent. And anything you say can be used against you in the court of law. But you don't have to admit to anything whatsoever. That's your right. So they advise people now that that's their right, because too many people have been arrested and forced to confess to crimes that they did and didn't commit. So they put in process the law that had already existed, that you don't have to say anything, that you never had to have to say anything. But of course, if they're beating the heck out of you, you will say something. But they put these laws into effect, and can't nobody beat on you. So you ain't got to worry about being forced to admit to anything. You just say, I don't submit, I don't consent, and I'm not saying anything. Enact your rights. That's what I'm telling you to do. And as a matter of fact, ask to speak to your counsel, not your attorney, because nowhere in the Constitution does it say anything about you having the right to an attorney. That's what people say, but it doesn't say that in the Constitution. It says in the Constitution you got a right to counsel. And who is your counsel? Whoever you choose to be your counsel. And it doesn't have to be an attorney at law. If you say it's your counsel, they have to respect that individual as your counsel. That's the law. And if they fail to do that, they're breaking the law. And when they break the law, whatever charge they have against you ends up being dropped. So just start looking at, let me get into living under the rule that the government has to live under. Now, not me living under the rule, meaning that I'm subjected to the rule, but I'm going to make sure that the government agencies that deal with me, they have to abide by these rules. Realize this truth. I really want each person to see this for themselves. Of course, it might be difficult for you to see, and it's all right. I was sharing with somebody recently that the first time, this was a lie, and I'm admitting to it now, that I said that the first time I heard Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, that I realized that is what made it so that Muhammad Ali didn't have to go to Vietnam. But really, it wasn't the first time I had heard it. It probably was the 110th time that I heard it, maybe more than that. But it was the first time that I really listened to it and identified what it was meaning when it was said to me. It had been said maybe 109 times prior to that, but I didn't realize what had been said until I related it to something that was important to me. And so even though I say it on this phone line maybe 10 times at each phone call, you might not, all you hearing is words. You might not be recognizing the power in the words that I'm saying. There's no law in the United States made respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise of a religion. Period. Point blank. End of story. I'm going to say this again slower so we get this and really understand it. There's no law anywhere in the United States respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise of religion. Nowhere in the United States. And if there is a law that somebody wrote in the state, in the county, in the city, it's an unconstitutional law. So it's not a law at all. Recognize this. Realize this. All right. I'm asking that people put their phones on mute so we don't hear the background noise. So as I'm saying this to everyone, we recognize this. So wait a minute, Minister Partlow. You saying so no law can be made respecting an establishment of religion. So if a religious organization has a law, that law stands for that religious organization and all people who participate in that religious organization. Is that correct, Minister Partlow? Yes, that's correct. You mean so if I belong to a ashram that refuses to go fight in a war that the United States has, that means that I don't have to go fight in that war? That's correct. You don't have to go fight in that war. Why? Because your religious organization doesn't believe in fighting in wars. And you have a right not to go into the service. Oh, man. Okay, Mr. Partlow. So you mean to tell me if I belong to a synagogue that doesn't take shots that have whatever the shot has in it, and I refuse to take it because that's my religious right, it can't be given to me? No, they can't tie you down and give you a shot. They might as well tie you down and execute you, which they can't do that without due process of law that you submit to, that you consent to. But here it is, if you're a member of a religious organization, you're not consenting to any of that. And that's your religious right. Oh, man, Ms. Partlow, wait a minute. Are you telling me that I don't have to consent to what the government says? You don't even have to be in a religious organization not to consent. That's just the truth. But we don't recognize that because we think that we have to submit to what it is the government says. Everybody believes that. And let me not say everybody. I would say
Minister Partlow will be back with us momentarily.
I apologize. I must have gotten disconnected from the line. But I'm back on, and let me point out that what I'm saying is that the First Amendment is so powerful until we don't recognize its power, even though we might be told the same thing over and over and over again. But it's okay, because I'm going to keep telling you over and over and over again. And I'm going to say it to you like this. I have a good friend who says, man, I don't have to tell the government anything. And he's 100% correct. It's not necessary to tell the government anything. However, if you have the documentation, not only do you not have to say anything, you just give them the documentation. And then they have to respond to the documentation that you give it to them. And if you give it to them correctly, they'll respond before the next time you give it to them. And their response was the submission to what the religious organization says. That's the law that they have to abide by. Recognize that. Please take time and look at this. Don't take my word for it. Look into it for yourself. There's court cases where people brought something up against the church. And the judge asked the pastor or the deacon from the church, how was your church established? What's the organizing document that you used? And where they admitted that it was a corporation, the judge said, don't talk to me about the Constitution anymore. Why? Because if you submit to a state to be incorporated, You give up your constitutional rights to be subservient to the court, to the state. Don't do it. When you ask to be incorporated in the state, you ask to allow the state to be over your religious organization. How can the state be over what God is over? It's impossible. Don't do it. Recognize this truth. Please mute your phone, press *6. All right? All right, so I really want us to look at the First Amendment to the Constitution. I'm going to say the beginning of it again, and I'm going to say this maybe another 6 times on the line here. Maybe not, but it's possible I do. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now, who is this amendment speaking to? It's speaking to the body, the law-making body called Congress. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. There's no laws passed in Congress about religious organizations. Period. Point blank, end of story. It just doesn't happen. And your religion cannot be prohibited from exercising freely. You get to freely exercise your religion. And who puts meaning on what religion is? You do. That's who puts meaning on your religion. It's your religion. You put the meaning on it. Not the government, not your pastor, not the mayor, not your priest. You do. That's who puts the meaning on your religion. I'm going to say it again. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Who establishes a religion? You do. You who? Whoever the heck you are. You're the one that establishes the religion. You say what the laws of the religion are, and you understand those laws coming from your God. Recognize that truth. And live in that truth. Really. So when we understand this as being what the rule is for the government, we make sure that the government abides by its rules. Not by my rules, its rules. It's the government's rule that they don't make laws respecting religion. They just don't do it. So there are no laws respecting religion anywhere in the United States. And it doesn't make what your religion is. And if you would, please take your time and, go on the internet and Google religions and see how many religions there are. So we can probably name a few of them quickly, but there's many, many more than the ones we named. And all of them, when coming up against the government, have the same power that any of them have. So the Catholic Church doesn't have more power than a synagogue or an ashram or a mosque. Can't have more power. Not here in the United States. Now, it might have it in Rome, you understand? But here in the United States, it doesn't have any more power than a Baptist church. It really doesn't. And not because the Baptist church has power because it's Baptist. It has power because it's a religion. And Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise of that religion. Oh, my goodness. You mean to tell me? Yes, that's what I mean to tell you. I really mean to tell you that. But don't take my word for it. Go investigate it. Go ask a judge. Take the opportunity to interview a judge. Judge, what laws are there that's made referring to religious organizations? What is it that a religious organization cannot do? And what we can't do is harm anybody, and that's what we don't do. All we're here to do is to help and to give to people. That's what we're here to do, and that's what we're doing now. We're giving to you what you get to know about your religious organization. Let me make this point too, because a text was sent out giving brief information about having a religious document that says you have diplomatic immunity. And I want us to understand what makes a minister a diplomat. The religious organization is foreign to the federal government. It's foreign to the government, period. And because it's foreign, it can have a mission. Meaning, we could take mission in a number of ways. One of the ways we could take mission is as what it is that we are tasked to do. That's our mission, what we're tasked to do. Or we could take our mission as where it is we're housed. We're housed at our mission. So we could take the word mission with the various meanings that the word has. But as you have a religious mission, the officers of that mission have diplomatic immunity. Why? Because that's the law. Automatically, officers of foreign missions, if they're religious, they automatically have diplomatic immunity, period. Now, you don't have to believe me. Of course, we have the documentation that we provide for you that says that, and you can look up the laws pertaining to it, and you realize, wow, this is heavy. This is deep. No government official can bring suit against me because I have diplomatic immunity. If you understand how powerful that is, breathe, because you have it. And of course, we provide the documentation that points that out. And I don't have any problem sharing with you this information. And of course, what it is I'm saying that we will do for you, you can do yourself. You know, it might not look as good as what we have, and it could look better. You know, it won't be any more powerful because we use the powerful statements and we use reference to their rules. And the number one rule we want to be clear on is that First Amendment. Once you establish it as a religious document, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Realize this, Minister Partlow, you telling that not only am I telling you, I've told you a number of times, and I will keep telling you, and the other ministers of this religious organization, they're going to tell you the same thing, because this is the truth, and the truth is going to make you free. So listen, I'm going to give people an opportunity to ask questions. My communication might not have been as long as it could have been, based on the fact that we got disconnected, I think, for about 2.5, 3 minutes. But I'm going to give an opportunity for people to ask questions. We'll answer those questions, and we'll stay on the line until 7:15, unless the questions died out long before that. But please feel free to ask those questions. First, let me give you the number where you can call me. You know, say this briefly. My number is 312-342-5722. Again, my telephone number, which you can call me at or text me, is 312-342-5722. 5722. Please, if you have questions, ask them now. Thank you very much.
Hola, greetings. This is iMinister Mari from Infinite Ministries. I wanted to say thank you to iMinister Sister Reddy because she had your back. When you came off the call, she made sure that we all knew that you would be right back. So I wanted to say thank you to her for that. And I just wanted to share a testimony in my private ministry. My husband and I have been doing work with scalar technology for a really long time. It's been over 13 years now that we've been doing this work. This work is very powerful, and it's something that is not accepted in the public because people that have come before us doing this work, like Wilhelm Reich and his colleagues, were pretty much taken to jail and their information got destroyed because of it. And having this knowledge as we were moving forward in our business of sharing scalar technology with people, we recognize that in the public world, if you do things that are against or that are to help people heal organically and naturally, then that means that you are, well, they view you as against them because the public doesn't want their people to heal organically because it'll mess up the industries of pharmaceuticals and hospitals and different things like that. And so anything that comes to kind of threaten that in any way, the government doesn't really take too kindly to that. So for us, it was a divine blessing to be able to have the information that iMinister Partlow shared with us about just who we are and our rights. And it just really made a huge difference in our lives because we had everything on pause because we did not want to be public. We don't want people knowing our formulas, the things that we do, what we work with. And now having this structure, because, you know, just as iMinister Partlow says, it's like, you know, we were all ordained by God to do this work. And so our knowledge of it and our exercising our rights makes it official. And so we were able to make it official. And now I go to rest every evening very comfortable, knowing that I'm not going to be bothered by any government system, and my things, my property, my intellectual property, as well as our Oregon technology property, that's all sacred information, and they have absolutely no right to it at all. And we would not have been able to do that had it not been for the ministry, because we were spending a lot of money doing private trust. And when you have a private trust, you got to have the trilogy. You got to have the private trust. You got to have a business trust. You got to have a family trust, and you have to have a foundation, a private foundation that just a nonprofit foundation that most people in the trilogy use, like a 501c3 to create those trilogies. And so because, you know, the Lord works in fabulous ways, it made it so that before we continue to spend more money, and we're talking about thousands of dollars to create a trilogy beyond 30,000, we were able to save our businesses, all of our assets, and continue to do the work that we've been doing, because we've been doing ministry work. We had just never identified with it because we were programmed to believe that a minister had to be a Christian or a Catholic in a big old church somewhere with a whole bunch of people. We didn't come to that realization, that self-actualization, until iMinister Partlow shared that with us, and we just had a whole view on everything. And so I just wanted to share our testimony with that, and our ministry is doing fantastic. One of the things that we took advantage of was determine our own economical status. That's number 55 in the workbook, and it's our status as an infinitaire, a person that attracts wealth infinitely because they live in their passion. Infinitaires recognize that they are connected to source, to the all, and in that recognition, we recognize that there's nothing that we can't do, be, or have. So we are exercising our rights and our rights to that truth. And we just want to thank you, iMinister Partlow, for sharing your life's work with us. We're beyond grateful for you.
But you say you're welcome. And so let me say this too. Everything you said is great, but it's number 55 in the manual, not the workbook. Okay, so if somebody has the workbook and they're looking for number 55, no, it's not in the workbook. It's in the manual.
Thank you so much for the correction, because I felt that after I said it, I was like, oh no, I'm looking at the Minister Destiny Partlow's Religious Organization Instructors Manuals.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But that's good. So if you have the manual, you could look at. There's many religious rights that you could recognize. However, the workbook is powerful also because it tells you what you can do as a minister, and it's juicy because you could marry people, you could perform various ceremonies, 100% lawful ceremonies, not legal but lawful. And you don't have to worry about anything being legal if it's lawful. I really want us to understand that there's a distinction between those two words and recognize the distinction and always be lawful. And I really appreciate Minister Mari, and she's pointing out to us where we need to align with our religious organizations and with our own rights. And so like I told y'all in the text, let me just say this. I didn't text as many people today as I normally do because one of my daughters came over and she interrupted me. And I told her, I got the text from PJ over there. I just want you to ask him this question. And the question took longer for me to answer than what it normally does. And so I didn't text a lot of people. But I text the people who were supposed to be on here to hear what it is that I said. And I really appreciate Minister Mari because I appreciate and I respect Minister Reddy, Minister Reddy, for coming on and ensuring people that I will be back. And I'm back. And we're going to keep doing this. I'm willing to answer any question that anybody has. And I feel good about everybody participating. This is a network.